So what's up, y'all? It's your boy Sean P back again with another edition of Hip Hop Roundtable Reviews. So I'm gonna catch up on a review that I've been meaning to do for a while now on Tierra Whack's Wax Museum. Off top, and I'm very critical of female rappers, female MCs. This album impressed me. It's actually a mixtape, but really impressed me. And I want to give my review about this real quick. Um, and we're gonna do what we do: talk about what I like, what I didn't like, and we're gonna sum it up in the end. So let me pull this up right here um, on my. Okay, so Tierra Whack Wax Museum. 12 cuts, real to the point. You know what I mean? I don't really like long albums. 12 is just in the right wheelhouse. Um, so I'll start off with what did I like? Um, I love the spunk and energy on this. She just had the right, I guess, charisma on this that really brought attention to her style. Um, Kind of reminds me of Dochi. I think her and Dochi right now um, really are the two ladies to watch. Even though Tierra Whack has been out for a while, you know what I mean. She's one that takes risks. You know what I mean, and I think when it comes to female rappers, especially, I'm very critical of female rap, given how the quality has been degraded to really low vibration, strip hop, if you want to call it, for most of the mainstream rappers. I like what Tierra Whack brings to the table as far as being creative, going outside the box, and coming with a style that kind of grabs you. Her intonation, her flows, her changes in that, changes in flows, changes in intonation. I like reminds me a little bit of Missy Elliott in her prime, but with lyrics and with bars. You know what I mean? So I definitely like that. I like the production on here. Conductor really did his thing on a lot of these beats, a lot of these sample-driven beats. Heavy sample production on this. Not a lot of hard, big bass lines, a lot of 808s in the production, but still really good, And I love like the underground vibe. It brought me back to almost a 90s vibe in a way, you know what I mean? So I was really feeling that, that she really came with that on this. So that's what I liked. Let me get to some of the tracks as far as what I was really feeling track wise on this. So starts off with Whack Job. I think that was a very good intro. Straight sample, no bass line on there. She really came with a lot of energy on that. Then I think she really gets into it on Wax Paper. Wax Paper, Brazilian Wax, and Wiggity Whack. I think Wiggity Whack was probably the hardest, most edgy track on there, where she basically comes to female MCs on there saying she's the best. It's a real competitive track, and that's what I like about this is she skipped all the all the glamour and all the I guess the dressed up appeal of mainstream female hip hop. And she just got to it. She's like, listen, I'm the best rapper out there, and that's why she came with that type of energy on it. And I like that. It's a throwback type of feel as to no female can spit better than me, And I think like Wiggity Whack gives you that kind of Conway, the Machine type of feel. That's something that Conway would rap over, but she killed it on that one. I also like Brazilian Wax. That was dope. I like Gotta and Siren. Even though it's a short song, Candle Wax is dope. It just had a real kind of underground, kind of trippy vibe. Like I really like, you know what I mean? It took me back to a real 90s type of feel, you know what I mean? And it's a short song, you know what I mean, but still effective. And I just loved her flows on that, you know what I mean? Queen's Crown was dope too. Another competitive track. 215, you know, definitely she's repping, you know, Philly, where she's from on that one. Flowers basically questions, you know, why she doesn't get her respect and why she should get her respect. She brings up Nicki Minaj, Nipsey Hussle, some other greats, you know, in that to make reference to that, you know, but this is just about track for track, as far as the tracks are concerned for her. Like she really did a good job on this. Really weren't any weak moments on here. I guess if there's one criticism, some of the songs are a little bit too short, but you know, I've gotten used to the 2 minute song now. Like that's kind of the standard now. You know, you need to get your point across and get your point across effectively, and she did a great job with that. So definitely I like the vibe, the production, the tones on here. Lyrics were standout, you know what I mean? I think right now, in my opinion, she's the best female lyricist of 2026. So she gets my vote right now. You know, I don't know what Rhapsody is has coming up, but I definitely think she's in that running for female lyricist of the year. So let's get to the ratings here. Production standout. I give it an 8.5 to a 9. I love the conductor tracks on here, and slowly conductor Williams is getting into that conversation with the I'm not gonna say right with Alchemist. I'd say more like a Harry Fraud type of guy. You know what I mean? But right under where Alchemist is at. I think right now Alchemist, Hit Boy, Metro Boomin are kind of the top guys, the top tier as active producers right now. You know what I mean? If you want to throw in Pharrell, with Pharrell making a comeback with what he's doing on what he did on the T.I. album and Let God Sort Him Out with Clips. But I think Conductor's really making a name for himself with what he's done with Griselda, even his tracks with Drake. You know, Rome Streets, what he's been doing. So I definitely think that the production on here, I'd say is 8.5 to a 9. Flows and energy, I'm gonna say that's at a 9 as well. Like I love her change in tone, and I love in Wax Paper that she changes her cadence. And at first you think like, why are you doing that? But she slows it down so you could really hear her diction in the lyrics, and I think that was phenomenal how she did that. It's kind of like abstract how she does that, but it's reminiscent of like a Missy Elliott that will do that a lot in her, and it draws attention. Like there's an attention to it that you have that you wouldn't pay attention to if she was just rapping straight through. So I do like that she does that, and she does little tricks throughout the whole album. Like she changes her voice on Wiggity Whack, which I thought, I was like, I wonder if she's like almost taking a dig at Nicki Minaj, because Nicki Minaj used to do that. But I thought it was very effective how she did that. You know what I mean? So I say Flows and Energy, definitely a 9. I would say as far as, let's get to lyrics, I'm gonna go a 9, 9.5. I think she did her thing on here. Like I said, I think she's made the mark for this year being the best female lyricist in the game. You know, maybe Rhapsody might have something to say about that. I don't know if Doechii is coming back this year. She's supposed to be dropping her debut. So She's really in the running for that. I say lyrics 9.5, definitely. Um, Features, there weren't any features on here. So but they really didn't need features. So just gonna say this is probably an NA, not applicable on this album. It really didn't take away from the album that she just killed it on her own. So it really didn't matter what features were on here, or weren't on here, because she still did her thing. And replay value, I say this is at a solid 9. I think right now this is at the top of my playlist. I think right now playing T.I. album and this album right now is probably heavy on my playlist. Cole, I've taken a break from, but I'll probably get back to that. You know what I mean? Because I think that's in the conversation. Also, Benny the Butcher's in there as well, with Benny the Butcher and BSF. Also, Nick Grant's in that conversation, which I think this is, you can almost draw a parallel. This is almost like a female version of the Nick Grant album, which is Smile, which is very good, which I also did a review on. So what are we going to go overall? Let's get to our rating, final rating. Yeah, so let's get to overall rating. I'm gonna go with 8.5 to solid 9 out of 10. I think right now this may be my album of the year. I know Cole's in the running for that, but the thing about Cole is, like, I see the replay value kind of waning on that. You know, I think Cole, the thing about him is he makes very phenomenal and dope projects, but his staying power as far as replay value is sometimes gets questioned, you know. And I don't know if it's gonna be my album of the year come end of this year. I think it's neck and neck now with this one, with Wax Museum. T.I. I think is entering my top 10. But I don't know the replay value on that either, because there's still some songs that I'm kind of iffy on that one. You know what I mean? As far as being the album of the year. But albums like Smile is growing on me. You know what I mean? Which I think may be entering the top 5. You know, I still got the Larry June and Currency joint, Alchemist, but that's kind of waning a little bit. You know what I mean? Because I think only with a you know, I think it's only about 8 to 10 songs. You know what I mean? It's not a standout project, you know, but it's still dope. It's one of those projects that kind of sneaks up on you, but I don't think it has the staying power to be an album of the year type of album. But yeah, hats off to Tierra Whack. And I'll just say, like, as far as the state of female hip hop, you know, I actually wanted to do a longer review and discuss Young Miami and her song "Spend That." We were going to come on with the crew, with the Hip Hop Roundtable crew, with Reese and Ansel, to do an in-depth discussion. We still might do it later, you know. I think female rap is at a very interesting inflection point right now, because we have enough traditional female MCs like a Tierra Whack or a Doechii to take over and break into the mainstream, doing a more traditional style of female rap. And you still get the quote unquote strip hop. You still got Cardi B, you still got Lotto. And now you got Young Miami with her song, which I think Young Miami is terrible. But that's a hot song. You know what I mean? I don't agree with it. I know there's backlash on that song. And I know India Ari has some comments about that. And I'll just say on that, I think that it's a good discussion to have as far as what that song says about hip hop culture. But I don't think, in my opinion, that's a good representation. I'll just put it at that. I think it does promote degeneracy and the degenerate culture that's out there. You know what I mean? And if people want to go and have fun to that, so be it. But I don't agree with it. I don't really agree with that form of hip hop. You know what I mean? Altogether. But I wish we see more Tierra Whacks of the world get more into the mainstream, more Rhapsodies have more more say in the mainstream, more say in the streams to balance out the Cardi B's, the Young Miamis of this world or whatever. Not to mention Cardi B, she did a pretty decent job. You know, I've been hard on her in the past, but her album was not bad. Her last album last year, it was more an emotional album. She got in her feelings, she got in her bag after all of the controversy she came out with, or controversy with her relationships and all of that. You know what I mean? But I do think that there needs to be more of a balance in hip hop, to balance out the ratchet side. That's all it is. You know what I mean? And I think a Tierra Wax Museum does a good job of that. I hope it gets more attention. It's only a mixtape, so hopefully she comes with a new album soon, and I'll be looking forward to it. She definitely caught my ear with this one. So, what am I going to go with my solid? With my rating, I'm going with a solid. Let me make my banner up. I'm going to go with a solid. I see 9 out of 10. Let's do that. So let's go with a solid. I'm gonna go solid 9 out of 10. And right now, Tierra Wax Museum is my pole position leader for album of the year. We'll see if Cole can hang on to that. I don't know. You know, I got to go back and listen. I ain't listened to Cole in a while, but right now, I think she did a very good job on this mixtape, and I check it out. Tierra Wax Museum. Dope energy, flows, bars. The production is good. It's vibrant. Like I definitely like that. So we're gonna come back with some new content coming up. I know we're gonna get to it next week. We're definitely gonna talk about Jay-Z with his Yankee Stadium concerts. We're also gonna do once the concerts wrap up, I got to do a 30th anniversary Reasonable Doubt review, just like I did for Nas's Reasonable Doubt. I'm sorry, Nas's It Was Written review. So we're going to do the same for Reasonable Doubt as well. So with that, enjoy the rest of your day. I will come back with some new content early next week, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. All right, peace.